And let's start with some international news first, where Lebanese leader Saad al-Hariri will be in France on the invitation of Emmanuel Macron on Saturday to meet with the French president. Now, President Macron had invited the resigned Lebanese Prime Minister and his family to visit Paris in a bid to ease the regional tensions in West Asia. Now, Hariri's shocking resignation had caused a diplomatic rift between Saudi Arabia and Lebanon, with Beirut accusing the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia of forcing Saad al-Hariri to resign in a televised broadcast from Riyadh and also holding him in Riyadh against his will. The Islamic State has taken responsibility for the attack that killed 18 people in Kabul. The dramatic visuals that you see on the screen is the moment that the explosion in fact took place. Several people were injured after the suicide bomber detonated himself near a gathering of supporters of an influential regional leader. The dead include 10 policemen and 8 civilians. A key Baloch leader, Mehran Murray, has been put under a lifetime ban on entering Switzerland. Murray and his family have been detained by the Swiss authorities at the Zurich airport. Murray was travelling to Geneva to attend the Baloch Unity event. Saudi Arabia has issued a warning to Iran and has said that their actions in West Asia are a response to Iran's aggression. Just a day after US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson visited Myanmar's capital, the Myanmar Army Chief, now in a statement, has said that only those Rohingya refugees can return to the Rakhine province who are accepted by the real Myanmar citizens, and only if they are ready to be accepted by them. In a statement, the Army Chief has said that the emphasis must be placed on the wish of the local Rakhine ethnic people, who he claims are the real Myanmar citizens, who will determine whether the Rohingyas can return or not. The UN Security Council has rejected a Russian-drafted resolution that will have an extended UN-led inquiry into chemical attacks in Syria. The vote followed a Russian veto of a US draft resolution also on extending the joint investigative probe tasked with identifying perpetrators of chemical attacks. Russia earlier and the US draft resolution calling it as unbalanced. Germany faces the prospect of snap elections as Angela Merkel struggles to meet the deadline to form a coalition government after the elections. Now, according to reports which have come in, Merkel's efforts to forge a three-way ruling coalition have run into problems late on Thursday as differences on issues like climate, migration and finances still remain. Floods in Greece have killed at least 15 people and injured over 40 others. The affected towns of Mandra, near Peramos and Megara, located to the west of Athens, have conducted relief work with the help of the local government and volunteers while bracing for another potential rainstorm in the coming 2 days. The dozens of stores across the streets of NEA Peramos have suffered heavy losses when the floods came crashing down from the mountains. A makeshift hospital has been set up in the western Iranian province of Kermanshah after a 7.3 magnitude earthquake rocked the Iran-Iraq border on Sunday evening, killing at least 530 and injuring thousands of other people. The Iranian Red Crescent established the tented facility shortly after the Kurdish town's main hospital was seriously damaged in the quake. Republican Senate candidate from Alabama, Roy Moore, has once again denied the allegations of sexual misconduct that have been leveled against him. At least 7 women have accused Roy Moore of sexual inappropriate behavior, and several were teenagers. at the time when Roy Moore reportedly had made advances on them. Moore, who is presently 70 years old, has said that he is in fact the victim of a witch hunt. He's also further said that the claims are not only untrue, but they have no evidence to support them. Now, 46 years after an American man was arrested for the kidnapping and rape of a nurse, his life sentence and conviction were overturned by a judge who said that the case against him was weak at best. A 65-year-old Wilbur Jones walks out of prison after a district court judge said last month that authorities had withheld evidence that could have exonerated Jones several decades ago. The corruption trial of New Jersey's Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez is ended in a mistrial on Thursday after the jury said that it was hopelessly deadlocked on bribery, fraud and other charges. The Menendez, who first had joined the Senate way back in 2006, was accused of accepting private flights, campaign contributions and other bribes from a wealthy patron in exchange for official favors. The U.S. House of Representatives has approved a package of tax cuts affecting businesses, individuals and families, inching Republicans and President Donald Trump a step closer to the biggest tax code overhaul in a generation. The largely party line, with 227 to 205 votes, has shifted the tax debate to the U.S. Senate, where the chamber's separate plan has already seen resistance from some Republicans. The delegate of the United States at the UN climate talks has said that although US President Donald Trump has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord, the US remains a leader in clean energy and innovation for almost as much as 2 weeks. The representatives from around 200 countries have been trying to agree on ways of bolstering the 2015 Paris Climate Pact that aims to end the fossil fuel era of the century. The Colombian Senate has backed a law to regulate transitional justice under the country's peace deal with the Marxist FARC rebels, including the special tribunals that will try the guerrilla leaders for war crimes. The law is considered crucial to the agreement that was signed last year between the government and the FARC. The measure still needs approval from the lower house of the Congress, which is likely to vote on it early next week. Ukrainian investigators are fearing that the corruption probes could get sidelined because the National Anti-Corruption Bureau will soon be flooded by thousands of old cases. This comes after the NABU Anti-Corruption Bureau had launched an investigation into this week into a crime-fighting agency over extortion allegations that were leveled against it. As many as 3,500 cases that were registered before December 2015 will be transferred from the prosecutor's office to NABU, which also includes investigations pertaining to former Donald Trump campaign chief Paul Manafort. All major Chinese coastal ports have been ordered to rectify their suspected practices of monopolistic charging. The move aims at facilitating the country's imports and exports. Initial findings have shown that shipping firms and cargo owners were required to choose firms affiliated with the ports for tugboat tally and also ship agency services at higher costs. The NDRC has asked about 30 major coastal ports to check for compliance. Sudan is committed to severing all trade and military ties with North Korea as Washington seeks to isolate Pyongyang further over its nuclear and missile programs. The US has welcomed Sudan's move and has said that adding the Sudanese Foreign Ministry had made the announcement following meetings with a visiting US diplomat in Khartoum. Burglars have stolen as much as $400,000 worth of goods from tennis legend Venus Williams' house when she was at the US Open. The burglary happened between September 1st and the 5th at Williams' 10,000 square foot home, which is in a well-to-do gated community. No arrests have been made so far in this incident. Well, let's now shift our focus to some news from India, where Union Power Minister R.K. Singh has said that the state-run NTPC will be floating a tender to buy farm stubble at 5,500 rupees per tonne for power plants, a move that will check farmers from burning it, a key source of pollution in the national capital region. He said that this move will in fact help the farmers earn around as much as 11,000 rupees per acre from the sale of stubble or straw pellets. A large number of farmers, particularly in Punjab and Haryana, are burning the farm stubble, which causes air pollution in the absence of the viable alternatives. The Delhi government has announced that it will roll out a scheme within 3 to 4 months to enable citizens to get 40 public services, including caste certificates and driving licenses, at their doorstep. The decision was taken in a cabinet meeting that was chaired by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has claimed that this was home delivery of governance, which is being done for the first time in the country. Indian markets regulator SEBI has ordered the attachment of bank accounts as well as the shares and mutual fund holdings of defaulter businessman Vijay Mallya-led United Breweries Limited to recover dues totaling up to 18.5 lakhs. The decision has been taken after the UBHL had failed to pay the fine that was imposed on it. In 2015, SEBI had levied a fine of Rs 15 lakhs on the company for disclosure lapses regarding creation and invocation of certain pledge transactions in shares of the United Spirits. The Karnataka government has unveiled an ambitious project to install Wi-Fi facilities in all village panchayats across Karnataka, beginning with 2,500 gram panchayats this year. The project will bridge the digital divide and also will be providing an opportunity to each and every entrepreneur from the cities and towns across Karnataka to benefit from the enabling ecosystem. The Art of Living founder Sri Sri Ravi Shankar arrived in Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh in a bid to mediate on the Ram Temple Babri Masjid dispute. He is expected to meet Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas chairman Nritya Gopal Das amongst other people. Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who offered to resolve issues of his own will, had earlier denied visiting the city with an agenda, and he said that he listened to everyone with an open mind. He's also said that the environment was positive and both Hindus and Muslims want to come out of this conflict. As the air quality in New Delhi improved on Thursday, the Environment Pollution Control Authority has lifted the ban on construction activities, the entry of trucks, and also has reduced the fourfold parking fee across the national capital region. The emergency measures taken as a part of the Graded Response Action Plan were immediately unleashed on the 8th of November after the air quality deteriorated and thick smog enveloped the region. As Delhi and its neighbours sparred over the stubble burning, a centre-run monitoring agency has identified a West Asian dust storm as the chief trigger behind the recent smog episode in the region. Now, according to Pune-based System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research, the contribution of the dust storm was 40% on the 8th of November, eclipsing the role of emissions from stubble burning, which stood at 25%. A 5-year-old boy in a Hyderabad school has been allegedly caned by his teacher, who has now been arrested by the police. The child, who was a student of Sacred Heart School, went home with injuries on his back and informed his parents, who have lodged a police complaint. According to the police, in the morning while the class was on, a kindergarten student had reportedly picked up a fight with one of his classmates and ended up biting him. Now, Umudhni, the class teacher who noticed this, allegedly beat him with a stick. A neurologist has developed a Windows application that will help block unwanted porn websites, designed by Dr. Vijayanath Mishra, a professor at the Institute of Medical Sciences of Banaras Hindu University. The app, which has been named Har Har Mahadev, will block unwanted websites containing pornography, violence and other vulgar content. Now, if anyone were to try and access pornography, what the app will do is it will play Hindu devotional songs whenever the user tries to open an inappropriate website. Now, Dr. Vijayanath Mishra has said that the website blocker app was developed keeping in mind the amount of obscenity that's readily available and accessible on the World Wide Web. The Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has invited the Indian Medical Association to hold a discussion in a bid to end the doctor strike over the KPME bill. The meeting will be held at the Suvarna Saudha in Belagaum. Siddaramaiah has also spoken to the State Health Minister Ramesh Kumar on this issue. Close to about 22,000 private doctors in Bengaluru alone have joined the protest against the Karnataka Private Medical Establishments Bill. The Los Angeles-based Hyperloop One, which is a startup backed by Virgin Atlantic's Richard Branson to create the ultra-high velocity transportation solution, has signed a memorandum of understanding with Karnataka government to conduct a feasibility study in Bangalore. The study will be identifying potential routes in Karnataka to improve connectivity between its emerging industrial hubs. If the project comes to fruition, then passengers will be able to travel from Bangalore to Chennai in a matter of just about 20 minutes. The hearing will resume in the Sheena Bora murder case today. Earlier this week, murder-accused Indrani Mukherjee had handed over a 2-page handwritten letter to the special CBI court in Mumbai asking for her husband Peter Mukherjee's call data records to be procured from the cell phone company and examined by the CBI. Now, ahead of Ivanka Trump's visit to Hyderabad for the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, the city is getting a facelift. The roads are getting fixed, tiles are being laid as part of the beautification process for the city. The municipal authorities are also spending about 45 crore rupees for this particular project. Only the roads and pathways which Ivanka is expected to travel in those 3 days are going through this beautification drive. This has irked the taxpayers, who are actually questioning the authorities whether impressing VIPs like Ivanka Trump was a bigger priority than addressing the concerns of the citizens in the city.